Hi again. Thank you for choosing In My Shoes. I'm Hilda Broady, your host. And I'm going to remember to do this now because the TBI stuff has got to go away. Please, go get a pen, some paper, because this show is going to be full of information and you're not going to have time to go then. We don't have commercials. So, get your pen and paper and get ready for a new and exciting guest because at In My Shoes, we're taking a different approach to serving the world. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my guest, and his name is Manny
Yosipov.
Yosipov. And I didn't want to mess his name up, which is why I let him say it.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And I'm going to give you your In My Shoes flip-flop.
Oh,
what
an honor.
So light that up.
Is the necklace put on right now?
Yeah, you can put it on.
Beautiful. I feel very
give you a keychain as well.
How magnanimous of you.
Say your name one more time.
Manny Yosipov.
Mr. Yosipov. Manny.
Yes.
I'm going to call you Manny.
Manny, as in Manny Pacquiao, but hopefully not as disappointing.
Or Manny Broady. I have a brother named Manny.
That's wonderful.
So, tell me about yourself and what made you come on my show.
Well, I was actually coming on because I wanted to reach out and enlighten the community and everyone watching on what my company provides. And we are a licensed home care service agency. Give a little background on myself. I'm actually born and raised in Queens, New York, not too far from Bronx. And I've always been in NYC. I lived out of the country for about 2 years in Israel, but my main time was here. So I only know the city.
Okay.
It's wonderful, and that's where I was born and raised here. I really liked it. I got into home care because I had a few relatives that, as they were aging, I noticed that their aides weren't really so good all the time, seemed kind of like they were picked randomly and just were kind of careless about their work. And it gave me a bit of a passion. I always said, I really wanted to help get people appropriate aids and help the right people get the aids. My great-grandparents actually had aids as well, and I wasn't too fond of them, but that's a story for another time. But anyway, I ended up getting into home care, and we're hand in hand today. This is where I'm at. Hand in hand together. Home care is the name of the agency.
Hand in hand together.
Home care. Yeah, that's formally, but we just say hand in hand home care. But the formal name is hand in hand together home care. And we service the Bronx. We service all 5 boroughs, but our main haven is in the Bronx. That's where our main office is, and we've been growing exponentially. Actually, we started about 1.5 years ago, and we already grew to over 600 patients.
Wow.
And yeah, we're only continuing to grow. I'm a new addition to the company because they wanted to expand the business development. They wanted to get the word out there. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, ironically, are unaware of this service. It comes at no cost to them. It's covered by Medicaid. And the beautiful thing is that they need that. A lot of people are struggling out there. A lot of people are, whether they're elderly or whether they're disabled, they just need help with activities of daily living, taking care of their basic chores, showering, eating, just commuting sometimes, and they need help with that, and the help is out there. That's what we're here for. We're here to tell everyone that the help is out there. My job is to deal with the community.
So do you train the home attendants or?
Yeah, our agency trains. We have a program where we train the home attendants, and they are all licensed before they're ever put out into the field to work. The details on the training aspects, I'm not too familiar with.
Okay.
My administrator knows more details on that.
No, when I first started with the vocational rehabilitation program, there was a home health attendant training program in the building that I referred a lot of my they called them senior citizens, and I agreed with them because they were 45 and I was 20-something at the time, so they were senior citizens. But it was specifically set up for people 45 and over to be home health attendants.
I hear that.
Do you find that older people who are in their 40s lean more toward home attendant as a
vocation?
Yes.
Ironically, I can see where you would think so, but actually I've noticed our home attendants happen to be around that age demographic, sometimes in the 30s. I don't know why we don't have too many young home health aides. I think it's because they're still learning. Hopefully, yes. They don't know if they'll end up doing that. Yeah, they're in their 20s trying to get in college, maybe trying to get into the more advanced professional career fields. So
But do you find that home attendants, because I know that my mom had home attendants, and initially it really was a nightmare. It really, I was homicidal. I was really homicidal. I wanted to hurt people and things at the attitude of the home attendants. My mother had 24-hour care. So she had,
she had a serious, she really needed
she had
help.
a stroke, and she and that didn't mean that she was supposed to be confined to her bed. And the home attendant, and my mother didn't. Okay, she had 13 kids, and she was a very active person before she had her stroke.
Wow.
She's a very, very, very active woman. My
Superwoman.
mother was up at 5 o'clock in the morning. By 6 o'clock, she was out getting her newspaper, and this is what this woman did. And she played her pickets in Jersey City. Okay, so
Impressive.
I said, I just asked the home attendant. They had moved my mother to Queens out of her environment where she had been in Jersey City. And they wouldn't take her out any place. I said, there's not too many places you want to go. Take her to play her pickets.
That's exactly.
And the woman told me it was against her religion to gamble. So my mind was like, well, you at work.
Yeah.
I didn't say not nice. I said not nice things. I really did. So much so that my uncle, called me and said, don't rock the boat. And I'm saying, this is my mother's life. It got so funky that I was banned from the house for a while because I was going to hurt people and things because it was my mother. And
Wow.
when she finally got a home attendant that understood, her condition had deteriorated so much that she really couldn't go out then except to go to the hospital. So I'm really excited that you're here because I want to hear really good things about home attendants and how do you, because I never knew how this woman ever got that job. That how do you get a job if you can't separate your private life or your religious convictions from your work?
Absolutely.
And I wasn't telling her to play the numbers. I was saying take her to play. Let her play her
Yeah.
pickets. That's what
Absolutely.
they didn't really care. It didn't seem like the woman cared enough because she would sit in the living room and read her Bible all day. And I said, well, shouldn't you like wash her up or feed her or
Absolutely.
some kind of thing? I mean, I know she wasn't supposed to dispense medication, but feed, that's kind of part of your job, I think. And
100%.
so it's not that I don't like home attendants. I just didn't like this lady. Okay, so I had, she had no respect for my mother and I had none for her. So tell me good things about your people because I know that you people would never ever hire somebody.
Absolutely. Well, we share a common inspiration there because I also witnessed something similar to that. I can't say I was as homicidal, but I was very angry about it. I did express it. And we do have a screening process. We don't just flippantly go around taking people in and just, oh yeah, you have the license or you have the certification, you took your classes, just come on board. We're very specific. We have great coordinators. I'll give you an example. We're working with a patient right now that lives in the city, and he was very strict about what he wanted. He said, I'm going to pay out of pocket for this. I don't mind. We do private pay as well. So he said, I'm going to pay out of pocket. I just want good. I just want someone good. We said, don't worry about it. Everyone we have is good. So we sent over a home health aide, and he specifically said, that woman was great. I want her back the next day. And he's like, I don't care how, I'll pay for everything out of pocket. I don't mind. He just really, really enjoyed her. And I was so happy and proud of my company that we had such a good home health aide that our clients, patients were calling us back and saying that they want the same person. It's not like, oh, you guys have good aides, just keep bringing them around. He's like, that specific person had such good chemistry, was so caring, attentive, as a home health aide should be. And I loved hearing that. I called the home health aide myself, actually, and I said, thank you so much. I said, I really, really love that you're doing such a great job. I want to let you know that it's acknowledged in the company. We acknowledge how great you are. This is every client is important to us, and the fact that they're calling us back and letting us know that they love the home health aide that they have, it's like another addition to the family. It's like we have someone that's caring for our family that we care about. And that's what makes me so proud to represent Hand in Hand Home Care. I'm very happy to be a part of this. And touching on another thing you said, we also do not just home health aides. We also deal with more acute needs like physical therapy or speech therapy and wound
Really?
care. Yeah, we have skilled nurses that will do actual skilled visits. So the gamut is really wide. The entire spectrum is from very acute needs to general daily activities
Also
and everything in between.
housekeeping, or does the home attendant do
The,
part
the
of
home attendant, yeah,
housekeeping?
the home attendant, that's more of a home attendant's thing. It's not a skilled need, it's not a medicinal thing, it's more of just part of the activities of daily living. You need that for your hygiene, you need that for your mental health. You can't be living, hoarding and living in complete debris. It's just not healthy for your development.
So the home attendants, do they work full time or part time, or it's however
So
they?
yeah, that those hours kind of work based on the assessment. So we have the agency that will be providing the services. We're the liaison. So there's another agency that provides the long-term service and pays. So they have their own nurse go in to the patient's home and they assess the patient. And based on the assessment that the professional sees, they ask them questions, they kind of observe them in their actions for a while, how they do things. And then they say, oh, okay, after that they let them know how much time they qualify for. So that's
Okay.
essentially how it goes about. It's not just some flip
Arbitrary
of a
number.
coin. Yeah, we don't go ambiguously
Get 2 hours
declaring
today.
something. Yeah, we don't like that. I'm gonna decrease the hour. Yeah, it's a whole. There's a standard about it.
Wow, because that's, I mean, so, and as we're getting older, not you, you're still a young guy, but as we're getting older,
You.
we're looking at what services are available, but also a lot of people who are, okay, I'm 62, who are retiring now are looking for part-time work that's not going to require going to an office and really want to work with people, do the hands-on kind of people. Is the training, because the ladies never, that I sent for training, and there was only one guy, so I can say the ladies,
Yeah.
never really discussed if it was difficult or it was a common sense, or how hard do you have to study? Do you have to have a high school diploma? What is the criteria for the home attendant to come in?
So definitely, I'm pretty certain that a high school diploma is necessary at the very minimum. As well, I'm not sure the exact training. There are some common sense. There are some medical requirements there. Some good knowledge that that a lot of people don't know. However, the job itself does require a little bit of I wouldn't say laborious, but a little bit of exertion and effort. You don't it's a job where you can easily fall to a lazy habit, like the person who just kind of said, "Oh, I just have to watch her. I'll just hang out and read my Bible." But it's really what you make of it, because sometimes a person doesn't need to go for a walk, but it's a nice thing to do. Sometimes they don't need your entertainment, or you want to play cards with them, or you want to go maybe take them somewhere. They don't need it, but it's good for them. So really, the more energized and the more youthful, not saying that someone in their 60s isn't youthful, I'm just saying that you would have to have that energy about you. There's no age criteria. I mean, there is to an extent, but we don't really discriminate based on age, because there are people that are in their 40s and 50s that are probably dancing around and more excited about life and helping people than some 20-year-olds that are just stuck to their new smartphones and
Exactly.
looking down all day and like, here,
Because
here's the eggs and
because the last home attendant my mother had, Miss Hazel, was, I think she was like a couple of months younger than my mother. So Miss Hazel is now going to be 82 in March.
wow.
Yeah, and she's still working.
That's so funny. You know what? I had a case where I heard of a case. It was so funny. I was thinking of something where I used to work at a different home care agency, and there was a case that I heard about where one of the patients complained. They said, "Look, I don't want this home health aide, this home attendant. I'm suspecting that she might even be older than me." And that was a major concern, because you don't want someone in there that's not even as physically capable as you
Was
are.
great. Miss Hazel was great.
So she was great.
She
See,
was
find
great.
examples of
I
polar
could
opposites.
but she was, and I kept saying, well, how is this little old lady gonna? I mean, she was nice, she was amicable. My mother got along with her fine, but I kept saying, well, my mother got a Hoyer lift up in here. How is she doing this? And she said one day, you don't seem to think that I know what I'm doing, and I've been doing this for blah, 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 blah. And she came in and she showed, and I was like, okay, thank you so much.
There you go.
You know, I'm not saying anything to you. I said, I just asked that, and she's
Look
still
at that.
working.
Still kicking. That's
And
amazing.
she's still working.
That's amazing. I'm honestly shocked. 88, you said?
No, she's going to be 82 in March.
82.
And I'm begging her, please stop working.
Wow.
Because it's knocking her over. Okay, she doesn't make enough work in the weekend, one weekend, to except to knock her out of being eligible for Medicaid.
Oh, just made the cut.
Exactly. But she
amazing.
said that she has to work or she's going to die. So she has to work.
You know, that's so funny that you say that. I used to have a cousin of mine has this housekeeper. I'm gonna make sure that he sees this because he's gonna laugh when he hears this story. We were cracking up when he heard this, but he said that he had a housekeeper that was older than every single member in that family, older than the mother, older, and she was like lifting up couches with one hand and putting the vacuum cleaner underneath and everything. And my cousin, his name is Emmanuel. He was so shocked one day. He just said, her name was Nadia. He says, Nadia, how he was even stammering. How do you, why and how? Why do you do all this? Like, don't you want to relax and take it easy? And she goes, no, if I stop, I'll die. He was so shocked when he heard that. He's like, if I stop, I'll die.
So many people say that. I mean, my dentist was. I think he must have passed away because he's not there anymore. But I kept saying, he was born in 1921.
Ooh.
And I was going,
And he's not working now, right?
he's not there anymore.
Yeah, that's
unless he's working out of his house in another, but he was in the Bronx, and I was like, where's Dr. Burke? And he said, everybody that he knew that retired passed away, and he wasn't going yet. He wasn't ready.
Yeah, I doubt he's working now at 95.
Okay, I hope not, but,
crazy.
you never know. He was a great dentist. He was a great dentist, and he pulled no tooth before time.
Well, soon to be 95, actually. That
Soon.
was bad math.
March 21st, 1921.
Wow.
So I want to humanize the home attendants because I see a couple, like my girlfriend's father had one who he really got along with her and she bonded with him. And he really didn't have her. It was really his wife's home attendant, but he was just as disabled. And it didn't make sense to have two home attendants come in for two people.
Yeah, okay.
It didn't make any sense. It was a husband and a wife, and he was happy with the home attendant because she cooked what he wanted him to cook. And she didn't give him a hard way to go when he was not doing what he was supposed to do. She didn't lean on him like the daughters leaned on him. That's what it was. She would, chat with him about maybe he needed to not drink so many fluids because he was on dialysis and he wasn't in compliance. And, his daughter was like, Dad, you have to stop. What are you trying to do? Kill yourself? But she had another.
The home attendant had like a very nice approach. I like that.
Yeah, because it's her job. I need you to stay alive so that I can continue to work. I want to work with you. Please. But he was very happy with her. And I was like, usually the guys, for some reason, the male patients are not comfortable with home care. Why is that? I mean, why am I asking you?
Well, I mean, you're right though. There's something that is submissive and surrendering when you do capitulate to home care or you agree to get home care. It's forfeiting a bit of your independence, and it can be hard for that. People want to exercise that autonomy, and it's hard because you go about your life totally normally, and then it just gradually creeps up on you. And no one keeps tabs on that unless there's some sudden, abrupt occurrence, like a car accident, which, thank goodness, not all of us are, that's not a majority case. These things gradually creep up, and then one day you're smacked with the awareness that you're just not capable of caring for yourself like you used to. And it's hard to deal with that. It's a hard reality to come to terms with. And I can understand that, especially men. Most in our society, men are majority times, they're the breadwinners, or they're the ones working and providing, and they were never pregnant in their lives. They didn't have a situation where they needed absolute, a lot of help, or were in a needy position. Sometimes, depends. I don't know. Everyone has their own cases, but you get what I mean when I say that majority men just can be a little bit more of the hard-headed, stubborn type. And when that alpha male position can be swooped from right underneath their stance, they kind of think like, oh man, what's going on? Is this really happening? And then they don't know. They pretend they don't need to. Like, for example, when people got to stop driving, how do you know when's the right age? I had, I know that one of my friend's grandmothers really should not have been driving at all. She had thought that she was in reverse, and she was in drive in a parking lot,
Oh my
and just
God.
went straight through a fence.
Oh.
Thank God, nothing happened. It wasn't crazy damage. It was a slow advance. But rest assured, we were all starting to really question whether or not this woman should still be driving. And these are all questions that, unfortunately, we will have to come to terms with at some point in our lives. We should hope to come to terms with those at some point, because we all want to age.
Exactly. What's the alternative?
Absolutely, I love that. There's a quote. I forgot exactly how it's phrased, but it says that age is a beautiful thing. It's an option or something denied to many, or something very nice. But I like that.
So, but because I had friends who are my age who had a home attendant, and I realized that he needed to have somebody there, but in his mind, he needed to know what he could and could not do first.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want anybody there to watch him as he figured out. I didn't feel comfortable with that. Well, your self-assessment.
Yeah, I understand. That's hard. That's a hard part.
So it turned out that he never had the home attendant. They came and he had them sit and watch TV, and figured out what he needed to do for himself. And I think he felt that if he didn't try harder, and I think this is a guy thing, if he didn't do it all himself, then he was going to be relegated to having somebody do it for the rest of his life. And fortunately for him, that was a good strategy, because he's independent now.
Yeah.
But
Seemed to work out.
But I think it was because he was only 60 at the time. So, but it was major, and I kept saying, well, shouldn't you have somebody at least 3 hours just in case? And
something, yeah, it would be a nice little cushion just in case anything goes wrong.
not at all.
Yeah,
And I took his car keys. I took his car
Smart
keys,
woman.
and
Smart move.
and he's my friend, And I took his car up to New Rochelle and parked it in somebody's driveway. So when he had to go to dialysis or whatever, I drove him, or I had someone drive him. But until the doctor said, yes, you're eligible, you can go back on the road, he wasn't doing that. And I think because he wanted to go on the road more, then he wanted his house cleaned or his medication put out or whatever. It stimulated him. But most guys, that's what I was saying, most guys just...
I'm sorry, I apologize on my...
And I'm
on
sorry
the male,
that
on behalf of the male gender.
that they feel that way, because
Sorry about
I think it would have been helpful for him. I think he could have gotten stronger faster with assistance, and I think he delayed his own recovery.
Yeah, sometimes it's like rehabilitating yourself. When you have a little bit of help, doing something slowly and not as aggressively or independently, sometimes that heals you more. And it's hard. You have to really introspect, look at yourself objectively. We have trouble doing that every day in our own psychology, in our own mind, let alone with our physical bodies. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes a mirror is there to tell you easily what you can and can't do, or what you see and don't see. But with your mind, it's something that is a little more difficult.
So where do you recruit the home attendants? Where do you recruit them?
So that
comes from the other agency, or?
No. We recruit our own home attendants in our agency. The different ways we go about recruiting, I mean, we have recruiters and we have specialized employees that are hired specifically to recruit aides and interview and filter out and give that whole screening. So I don't know the intricacies. That's for the recruiters would know that better, or the administrative aspect or facets.
So I always wondered, and I never asked Miss Hazel. I guess I should have asked her because she probably would have told me. Did you have they have even if they're working part time, are there benefits like health insurance, or do they have to?
Yeah, we,
Well,
as our company, they're as long as they qualify and they consider full-time employees, which we work to coordinate and get them jobs consistently, they get all of the benefits along with that we provide, all the basic standards, including
okay.
health insurance.
Okay.
One interesting thing regarding, well, does Miss Hazel still work? Do you know what
Yes,
Yeah?
in Queens.
In Queens. I was gonna ask where. That's
In
what I was concerned about.
Queens. It's scary.
That's
She's still
incredible.
cause I called her last week just because I aggravate her. How you doing, Miss Hazel? You working still? And she said, yeah, I gotta go. I go Saturday and Sunday, and I was like, okay,
That's
okay.
amazing.
See, I retired 5 years ago, so I'm really not feeling that. You still working, and you old enough to be my
That's
mom.
wow. Look at that.
But she's happy,
Impressive. Very impressive. I have to applaud those kind of
and she
workers.
put this thing on some kind of harness thingy so that her back is just. And I said,
Look at that.
is that like general equipment that comes with the job? Or she said it helps my back. So I was like, okay, 'cause I ain't.
Yeah, it's a personal preference on her part. We don't really. That's not something. I'm not sure about what the home health aides do, but you know what? Power to them. If it makes them do a better job, go ahead.
I'm so. It's so different from when my grandma was sick in the '60s, the late '60s, because she died in 1970.
Sorry for your loss.
No. So she didn't have they. I don't even think there was such a thing as home health attendants back then that we knew of.
Yeah, the healthcare, really, this part of the industry has been growing more significantly recently in the past decade than before, and it's because people are older for longer periods of time these days. You're seeing more 90-year-olds, more people in their hundreds, more people in their 80s than you've ever seen in the past, and people are starting to lose that physical capability to keep up with the activities of whatever they need to do in their 50s and 60s already, maybe some even earlier. And you never know. There's always, like I said, we do short term as well. So sometimes people come back from the hospital, had some surgery in their knee, need some rehab, need some physical therapy. So there's really a huge,
Gamut.
yeah, a lot of people that just could use and benefit from this. That's what I do. I reach out to doctors. I deal with the hospitals. I deal with the people that see the patients on a regular basis, and they refer them to us.
Okay, so you said you take private patients and you have Medicaid and Medicaid.
Medicaid and Medicare. Medicare
Medicaid.
covers short-term care. Medicaid is the only
Long-term.
insurance that covers long-term.
Really? The only insurance?
The only one that'll cover it, yeah. You need Medicaid to have long-term care. Medicare, I believe they cover long-term care if you are clinically homebound. That was one of the interesting facts. Otherwise, they just stick
Clinically
with,
homebound?
like really actually can't move at all.
At all? Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I thought that it was supposed to be the situation where you got the services because it was better for you to be at home than to be in a nursing home.
That's really subjective. It depends on whatever someone would prefer. Some people would like to be home. Some people enjoy nursing homes, and that's what nursing homes try to do. They try to build a environment that is more conducive to your health, to your growth, to your happiness than you would be at home alone or, with family even. So it's really personal preference. There are some nursing homes that are beautiful.
And there are some that are not.
Yeah, but then it depends. Some people, even the most beautiful nursing home, couldn't make them feel more comfortable than their own bedroom. And some people, the sidewalk is a more comforting place than their own homes.
Okay. I'll tell you that I didn't find the train at all inviting, but
There you go.
that was
Indication of
my
a good.
personal preference not to be homeless.
There you go. But yeah, that's the whole idea of this home care is a beautiful thing. It's something I'm very proud to do because I love helping the people that need it, and I can't help but reiterate that it comes at no cost to them. That's why it's so shocking to me how much people are unaware of it.
are they in denial that I don't need it, or I never knew, because even trying to get someone who really, really needed it, I had no clue specifically where to go. I actually had to call the Bronx Independent Living Service Center to say, well, where do you get home care for somebody? How do you connect that person up? And why didn't the social worker tell us how to access those services? Is that whose job is that? Is it the social worker's job? Or is it
Good
whose?
question. Very good question, actually. So the job does fall to the hands of the social worker and case manager, the person who is in charge of monitoring the patient, because that's what they do. When they see the patient, they discuss the options. They see the patient and they kind of, it's like a minor diagnosis. They say, oh, you have this and this. I recommend that you go get some home care. If you can't do this and this, let's get you some of that. That's why, social workers, they speak and they meet with the patients in hospitals. They try to discuss, feel out what the situation is, and then they make a recommendation. They refer the patient over to a home care agency if that's what they need. Also, doctors, primary care physicians, they're the ones that are usually referred to. If a specialist sees you and they say, like, ooh, you're not in the best shape, let me go to your primary care physician, and the primary care physician is the one who says, you need home care or not. And that's what I also deal with mainly, primary care physician, internal medicine.
Oh, okay.
Mostly that whole category. And it's their job, you know what I mean? You're here to take care of your patient. You're here to make sure that they are doing well. The patient also has to kind of inform the doctor sometimes, that's why the doctor, they always ask those questions. Has anything changed? How are you feeling? What are you doing? What's wrong? And the patient's supposed to say, look, I'm having trouble cleaning myself, or I'm sure the doctor will catch on. If there's some problems, the doctor will know, and he'll make the appropriate recommendation.
What about the cost of the training to be a home attendant? Is it really high, or like in the olden days? No, let me not say the olden days. I have to stop that. Back then, in the early '80s, it was $1,000, and that was the training.
That was it.
It was $1,000, and my agency had to provide the medical dictionary, the stethoscope, and the tools, but it was $1,000. And I said, well, that was well over 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago, more than 30.
Yeah,
more
we're
than 30.
already at 10 years.
Oops.
We're already over a decade into 2000.
Has it gone up that much? I know the salary has been a lot more inviting.
Absolutely.
Because the ladies that were working at that time were making minimum wage. And I kept saying, well, how do you survive working a minimum wage? Is this your primary? Is this is how you're going to live?
Your primary source of income.
Yes.
This is how you put bread on the table.
And she was going, we have to do what we have to do. And my husband works and my son works, and we're all doing this together. And I kept saying, well, it didn't seem like it was an inviting occupation.
Career, yeah.
It didn't seem like it was. And she said, but I love people. And sometimes money isn't everything, but still you have to pay your rent. So I had to actually do budgets with my people prior to saying, okay, I'll shut up and leave you alone with that one, because if you're not going to meet your financial obligations, then you're coming back to me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see you anymore. I like you, but I don't like you that much.
No, I don't think anyone likes anyone that much.
But I think that some people, if that's their calling, then go for it. And then some people say they want to try that, and I've heard young people say, I think I want to do nursing, but maybe I should try home attendant first, just so that I could see if I can be around sick people, and the people that I'm going to be working with are not going to be so sick. And I was going, does that make sense? And I think maybe it did that. I want to step into sickness.
It's a very it's an interesting zone. I mean, the home attendant vocation isn't the highest paying. It's the average I think is around 10 to 11 an hour, between there, about 10 an hour. with the ancillary benefits, it comes out to be, well above minimum wage. So it's a good job, but it's not easy. It's not for everyone because it can be arduous depending on your patient. You don't know who you're always going to be taking care of. You have to have a lot of composure under pressure. You have to have the fortitude and the temperament to really be able to handle people that can be very ungrateful, can complain a lot. It's not an easy job, but it can be very gratifying depending on the people that enjoy it. Some people just love that feeling, knowing that in the end of the day, that person got by because of me. That person had a better day because of me. You know what I'm saying? And for example, that home attendant that I was talking about that I called to thank, she's great at her job, and she was happy to speak on the phone. She was loving. She's more than happy to take anytime we sent her to that apartment. We had a few very abrupt last minute calls for her, and she was on board. She would say, "Yeah, of course, I'd love to go," and it's just very impressive. Some people just have a fulfillment that you can't get elsewhere from helping people that need you, and I'm sure you can understand that.
I understand that. I was asking you about the money part because there are also funding sources for paying for people to get training.
Mm-hmm.
And Access VR pays for training. So you may hand in hand together, that's what it hand in hand together,
Hand in hand together.
may want to become a Access VR vendor. And this way you can maybe do on-the-job training, or you can do the training and...
You know what? I'll be honest. I don't even know anything about that.
Okay, so we're gonna talk to somebody else about that part, because it's beneficial for you to get a state agency.
We may even be already. We might even already have that. That's more of the administrative aspect, which I don't know too much about. I know my forte is the understanding of the home care itself, the caring, and the process for developing the business, spreading the word amongst the community. That's what I do. I'm more outreach. I deal with marketers also. I train the marketers that reach out and inform the public.
So staffing is someone else's job.
Staffing is totally someone else's milieu. That wouldn't be my. I'm not even sure if Russell, had he came, if he would have even been able to fill those.
Okay, only because if it's a way for another partner to access the VR services, and to let people who might otherwise not have found you get that training and get those jobs.
It's a great
and
benefit.
and there's a tax credit involved for the company
vendor.
as well. So it's a win-win-win. And then you have a state agency saying we're saying we've done the research on this person, like vetting them already. So we're saying that they can perform the essential functions of this job above and beyond, and you have good staff.
Beautiful.
It's
a win-win, seemingly.
Even though I'm not thrilled with Access VR, it used to be vested when I worked for them. The premise that the agency is always going to stick with me. I'm not so thrilled with the administrators of it, but if you know A, B, C, D, E, when you go in there, nobody can dissuade you from the steps that you need to take.
Absolutely,
Okay,
yeah. Well, I'm glad we covered that. Glad we got past that part. May I ask you a question? I had a little something I was thinking about. Remember when you mentioned, how did the experience end with your mother? I wanted to know, in terms of the home health aid, that wasn't too good. What did you guys do as a...
I didn't kill her. See, I'm not in jail. I'm not in jail.
That I assumed.
Apparently, Miss Hazel found that the other woman really was remiss, so remiss that she told my brother, this is not healthy for your mother. You need to...
So there was an overlap in time. Miss Hazel would come in and see the other aide.
Yeah, because one worked Monday through Thursday, and Miss Hazel worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? That's how she did it.
Yeah, and then they would cross over at some point and swap.
Right.
Because it was 24/7, you said, right?
24/7.
24
So
hours.
they slept. One stayed for 4 days and one stayed for 3 days.
Wow.
And it turns out that the other person was terminated because she really wasn't doing what she was hired to do.
She was lax.
And And no, I didn't hit. I mean, I never even said too much to her after that. After I had said my piece,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was just us trying to accept that my mother had a stroke, and that she was never going to speak again, and us trying to cope with that, and we were at each other's throats, and so I think they thought I was picking on the home attendant because my mother couldn't do what she. But I was saying I'm looking at what she's not doing, and so I'm glad that she was terminated. I don't want anybody to be fired, but I don't think that she could have been retrained. So
Yeah, there's a personality to you. You sometimes some people are just the type that don't. They'd rather sit on the couch. They don't want to really put the effort. You know, like I said, it's something about a disposition that people have.
and then you have the other ones that you can't sit down. You sit down for a minute, please. You're making me a crazy woman. And
Absolutely, yeah. You just want to relax sometimes, and they're just like, "Oh, let's go do something. Let's make some eggs, and let's go for a walk in the park." And then you go like, "There's a reason I need a home attendant because
you know,
I need to
I'm
take
all
it
gimpy
easy.
today.
I can't do all that stuff."
But I guess it's hit or miss. But a lot of people who do home attendants, because I know quite a few home attendants,
Mhm.
and you can see joy in their eyes. And
Yeah, I agree with that. There's like I said, the gratification in it is immense. I remember I was my great uncle when he was sick. I had been, I guess you could say, called upon to help out one night when the whole family had to go to an event and they really needed to be there, and he was totally incapable of going. He had been very sick and was homebound. And they just said, "Look, he's going to be sleeping, but please just take care of him, see what you can do." So, okay, he can't walk well. I said, "Look, we'll be home. We'll be there, not a problem." Me and my cousin went over there. And he had actually woken up and had some trouble. He was trying to go to the bathroom, and I helped him, escort him to the bathroom, helped him go to the bathroom, and then helped clean up a little and put him back to bed. Such a minute little thing. It took maybe 5 minutes, the whole process. But in the end of the day, when I went home that night, I felt amazing. It wasn't because it was family. It was just, I really did something great for once. Especially, I was young, too. I was about 15, 16. So when I did that, I was just, until you're 20 years old, you don't do a single thing for another person. You are just like we are all just balls of sucking life out of everything.
I didn't get to have that experience though.
No.
When you're one of 13.
Okay.
Really?
Shared. It's a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Well, nonetheless, there's very little. Yeah. There's I'm not in the term of sharing, but there's just so much out there, especially today. Oh my God! Like now, I think it's up to 30 that you don't even give to anyone else anymore.
Oh, okay.
It's growing. I'm obviously exaggerating, but
I know.
You get what I'm getting at. That it was amazing to finally do something for someone else. That.
And I think that the reason that home attendants are increasing now is because so many family members are working. It's not like it used to be. Somebody used to, because I always hear, we take care of our own.
It's a good point,
And,
actually.
And
Didn't think of
because
that.
I took care of my grandmother, and I was 12, 13, 14, 15. And I did the bedpan and the whole 9 yards. I did it. So it was my grandmother. Who else was going to come in and do it? So I think as more people, it's going to be more and more home attendants because now the baby boomers are coming up in age too. But I think that's why the industry has increased so much because.
So, that's a very honestly revolutionary thought. I never thought about that. Why, if it was even increasing, and it actually, I realize you're right. So many people are working. So many people are trying to make it big, and especially with education now, a lot of people are going to college more, attending higher education. It's a good point that the home attendant field is going to be expanding. People are getting older, family members don't want to take care of that because they have things they got to do. Also, especially in the city, things are so expensive. You can't afford if you're not if you don't have both parents working.
That's right. Rent is.
Oh my gosh! Don't even get me started on that. That's insane. The Bronx used to be a lot cheaper. Everything went up, especially.
Yes, I know. I came to the Bronx in 1971. I'm from Brooklyn. Bed-Stuy. So,
So you know a thing or two about that.
yes,
change.
yes, it's. I think just the housing just has increased, but also the Bronx is now up and coming.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think we've almost arrived. The borough president told me that I was consider myself a native because I've been here since 1971.
I'd consider you a
So,
native too.
so I said no. I said I'm not going to go back to Brooklyn. I came here for a reason. I came here to go to school. I went to Fordham.
Very nice.
My mother said my daughter went away to college and never came home.
Very nice. Interesting little way to put it.
Yeah, well, it was time. It's time to be an adult, which is what we need to teach our kids to do. I was thinking that maybe we could discuss the possibility of an. Do they have like home attendants, internships for home attendants,
That's a
or
great question. I don't know. I've never seen that, but
because
I
some
suppose an internship can always be invented. You know, it's just
only because
that's the
some
one.
youth employment is gone by the wayside.
Yeah, youth corps is like the only big.
Really, youth corps still around?
Yeah, youth corps still does that. They're the only players I know about in the industry still trying to enroll the teenagers and the youngsters in their summer interim between school
Because a
season.
lot of students are looking for summer and they're looking for after school as well.
After school programs are tricky.
Really?
Only because it's a sensitive topic. We need today. Parents are working full time. Both parents are working. What happens to kids in public schools when they're done by 2 in the afternoon? You know what I mean? It can get a little burdensome on the family. It's a good question to address. After school programs are becoming very imperative. I foresee that schools are going to just either elongate their programs or have to start implementing something to keep them entertained. Because you don't want kids running around the streets just with
That's why
nothing
we
to do.
want a bowling academy to keep them off the streets.
There's the pitch, everyone.
There's
The pitch. Let's get a bowling academy.
Bowling academy.
And I do like the idea of a precision sport. It teaches a whole new part of the idea behind the sport.
It's the sneakiest sport you're going to ever encounter in that it incorporates, besides you using every muscle of your body, you have to do math.
True that.
And I'm not just talking about adding the scores because where we bowl there's no
That's what I
automatic
was talking
scoring.
about. That's what I was thinking.
I'm talking about angles, geometry, and physics and oil and that whole. It's a science. It's a sport of science.
You just changed my entire perspective of bowling. In fact, I'm supposed to go bowling later today.
Okay, so now I'll give you a few tips.
Can we get
I'll give
please?
You a few tips
I want
before
to
you
do that. I'll need
trick
that.
them, scare them. It's something, and it's something. I was on like News 12, just coaching one of the reporters, just showing her from throwing the ball in the gutter to throwing at least 9.
With how long did it take you to teach her that?
10 minutes.
I need that 10-minute session.
You know, but it's
Please.
if you want to learn, and you can. But I think that's with anything that we do. If your heart is in it, and I have young kids now. We have little boys who they've tried everything, and they finally found bowling and said, "This is what I want to do," but they want to be great yesterday. So if they
All too often.
So if they don't, do everything perfectly, they cry. Or they get so mad at themselves, and I have to keep telling them, okay.
That's so
I know
cute,
you didn't
honestly.
do that on. I don't know you didn't do that on purpose. I said, so your crying is taking. I can't talk to you when you're crying. We can't assess what you did.
It's adorable.
It's,
How young is your youngest? The kid.
Our youngest now is 6. Wow. 6. He said, but he was 3 and no, he's 7. He was 3.5 when he started.
You have 3.5-year-olds starting your program?
Yes, because it's not so much the age; it's the attitude.
That's amazing.
Because he couldn't put his hand in the ball and roll it. He pushed it, but he had a 29 average at the end of that first year. You can't really shame him for that. He was
Without the assistant?
we don't know. We're not allowed that.
He bowled and hit pins down.
Yes.
I'm very impressed with that. Wow.
Yes. It's you have to, it's with anything you do, directions.
Absolutely. Proper guidance, essentially.
And since all of us are coaches and we're trained,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the people have worked with children in one way or another, if it was not sisters and brothers, we kind of know, and I kind of match the coaches up with the kids' dispositions.
That's a science in and of itself.
Well, you can tell after 3 sessions who needs to be with whom.
That's where the difference between knowledge and wisdom comes in, right?
Exactly.
You got these youngsters that think they're coaches, and then you got a very seasoned and experienced veteran who knows a thing or two, and then they just go, you two, together. And the other coach is like, oh, no, there's a standard. Like, no.
There's no standard.
Exactly.
Can you listen to her? You know, and because we have such a diverse group of coaches, because the younger coaches I had when they were teeny tiny tots, and the older ones were bowling in my league, and everybody is volunteering their time. Nobody gets paid.
That's very, very admirable, and I'm assuming it's been very gratifying thus far.
For me, so far, and for them, and of course we've run out of time because that's what we do. We did.
Oh, just now, us two.
We just ran out of time.
Okay, wonderful.
But I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And somebody's going to buy me a bell one day.
I'm sorry.
Because that's what they say, Hilda.
And
You're
to
my
my
audience, I want to thank you for choosing in my shoes. And we'll see you next week. Be well.
Got a message for you. Yeah. I've been less offended by the boxers, all the sagging pants in our community. I got a song for you. Check it out. Here we go. Come on.
Pull your pants up. 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 Pull your pants up.
Yeah.
It's the new style.
Come on, collect. Talk to me.
Say, Mr. Harris, sagging jeans is an epidemic.
That's right.
One that I've never been a fan of. And I can't stand how these young men, they sagging, they dragging. Come on, pull your pants up. And I know us girls, we in the wrong for not putting these fellas on.
You got the power.
But I'm offended by boxers. And I think that we all should be. You feel me?
Help me.
Pull your pants up. 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 Pull your pants up.
Why?
It's the new style. Pull your pants up. Pull your pants up.
Yeah.
Pull your pants up. Pull your pants up. Pull your pants up. Pull your pants up. It'll make your mama proud.
Here we go.
We living in a world affected by an epidemic. Sagging jeans and sweatpants is how I'm living. Need to set the example to make the future right. So hear our message when we hit you with the chant.
Pull your pants up. pull your pants up. Pull your pants up.
It's kinda catchy.
Pull your pants up. Pull your pants up. It's the new style. Pull your pants up. 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 It'll make your mama proud.
I know you heard your belt say. You know your belt was talking to you this morning. Said, come on, just take me with you. I just wanna help you all day, keep your pants up. I just wanna throw myself around you and hang out with you all day long. But you know what? You didn't listen, so now we don't have to tell you this. Come on, say it.
Pull your pants up. 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 It's the new style. Pull your pants up. 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 It'll make your mama proud.
We are taking a different approach to service in the world here at In My Shoes. That's what the show is all about, is we just want to help people, and this is the perfect venue to do that. I have to ask you at the beginning of each show to get a pen, get some paper, be ready to take down the information because we have no commercials, you won't have time to get the information. You can always contact me at queenpin53@yahoo.com.